pros are, I want to work with the pros because I feel that I can, and I'm going to. I would love to try it. So I called. They didn't have a black studio.
Let me ask you, what can you give us a time? What year? I mean, roughly, did you go call and?
This was around 65, 66, around that time. And I did go because I called and met them over the telephone, and they invited me to come to sort of peruse, look, check out my portfolio, and more so than that, watch me work. Because it's one thing is to show the work, it's another thing to demonstrate your ability. So the fellow that was in charge at that time, and I can remember the name of the studio, it was called Kent Studio on Delaware and the Boardwalk in Atlantic City. And next door they had a Globe Burlesque Theater right next door to it. So I go, and he picks me up. First he discovered that I'm African American. I don't, for some reason or other, I don't think the way he reacted that he knew that I was an African American over the telephone. So so I described what I would be wearing, which was a plantation straw hat and sandals without socks and so forth. Well, he recognized me right away, and he pulled up with a station wagon with his manager, a blonde, Caucasian female. And so he takes me back to the studio. All the artists was in the studio when he took me back. It was about 8 of them. All of them were Caucasian, and all of them were older than me. I was not 20, 21. I wasn't even 20, 21 years old as I think it back. And so because I think I celebrated my birthday right there in Atlantic City in July. And so he brought me back, and he said, well, I'm going to introduce you to the artists that are not working right now. From the beginning of when you first come in, the artists were sort of positioned according to their status, according to their abilities, etc. And so as I walked back, he told me that he'd give me the last seat in the back if I proved to be competent enough to, to work there. I said, fine. So he had the manager to set and for me to do Her From Life. He said, I want you to do Her From Life. Well, I had never worked at an easel before that. I was always working in my arm. I didn't realize that for me was easy. For them, it would have probably been a handicap. So what I do, I sit down at the easel. Of course, they had the light on the subject, the light on the paper at the easel. Oh, I said, I've never worked like this before. Usually in the clubs, it's one source of light, maybe, and I'm getting the benefit of that light, that little bit of light. Sometimes I carry my little flashlight. It was so dark in the club. Well, I began to work. Maybe 15, 20 minutes later, so you captured her. That's good. And so he said the only thing is that you would have to, should I cut it off?
Yeah, let's take a quick pause.
Yeah, okay. I cut it off. Okay. I get back to, okay.
So he said you captured her.
Yeah, you captured her. You just have to work with that charcoal some more, because before that I was working in pencil. And of course, pencil is, once you get accustomed to it, it's a medium that you kind of depend on the precision that it offers, because it's a pencil, so you can draw little tiny details with it. Of course, with charcoal, you have to suggest a lot of the same details, and then perhaps you can use your shadowing techniques and your highlight to more or less get the same feeling across that's not so technical, so to speak. So that was working at a handicap, but I learned to master it because I had nothing but pros. Most of the artists that were in the studio, they were art professors. They came down to perhaps make another income, just take a vacation while they worked in the studio. And most of those guys were like maybe at the youngest may have been around 28 to 30. And then the oldest may have been up to 70 some years old. And so they from Greenwich Village, they were from New York, Philly, you know, like that, different places. Some right there local in Atlantic City. And I was able to walk when I would take a break and get a chance to watch them work, which that also helped me working with these pros. But one thing I learned about art, either you have it or you don't. Now that doesn't mean that you can't grow into that, but it's a certain something about any artist, regardless of what field, that's natural and it shows through. Then if they can build on that natural ability, well then this pushes them much farther ahead because it's the feeling, like in a song, that you get with art. It's something that you feel too. You don't necessarily have to have the prettiest voice in order to make people feel what you perform. And I guess that's what I always had, was being a natural. And of course, I was able to compound that with my reading and studying on my own a great deal. Some of the things I witnessed there was things that I was able to confirm that I had read with the Rembrandt techniques of sonobalism. And sonobalism is a subject that, or form that's emerging from the darkness. And this technique is what Rembrandt used. And I had studied that technique, and I began to see some of it in operation. Not a great deal of it, but that was just things you were able to discover, so to speak.
All right, hold on one second. You all right? Okay.
Like 9 minutes left on the card here. So, got like 9 minutes left. Cool.
Okay, yeah. What we're gonna try to get is, you talked about your history and all, coming up, and I just wanna get a few of the challenges that you overcame. So you've got your early years and getting started and why you selected people. So let's just go, talk about some challenges, and then last thing we'll do is a call to action, what's coming up. So we've got about 5-7 minutes, right?
Yep.
Okay,